Dinosaurs ruled the earth for over 160 million years, and the carnivores were the ones keeping everything in check. Today, I'm breaking down every major carnivorous dinosaur and what actually made them terrifying. Starting with the one everyone thinks they know, but nobody actually does, Tyrannosaurus. Tyrannosaurus rex is the most famous predator that ever lived, and almost everything you believe about it is wrong. That iconic Jurassic Park scene where the T-Rex chases down a speeding Jeep never would have happened. Biomechanical studies cap its top speed at 16 to 29 kilometers per hour because running any faster would have literally shattered its own leg bones under 9,000 kilograms of body weight. This wasn't a sprinting terror. It was a 12.3 meter ambush predator that didn't need to chase you, because it already knew where you were. Those enormous olfactory bulbs gave it a sense of smell comparable to modern vultures, letting it detect prey from absurd distances, but the real weapon was the mouth. 12,800 newtons of bite force, the most powerful ever recorded on land, delivered through 60 serrated teeth designed not to slice but to pulverize bone entirely. Other predators left skeletal material behind. T-Rex ate it, but Tyrannosaurus wasn't even the biggest carnivorous dinosaur. That title belongs to something far stranger, and it lived in the water: Spinosaurus. Spinosaurus is the longest theropod ever discovered, 15 to 17 meters from snout to tail, longer than Tyrannosaurus rex. But here's the thing, it wasn't hunting anything like a T-Rex. It was catching fish. This massive predator lived 100 to 93 million years ago in North Africa, and for decades scientists assumed it was just another terrestrial megacarnivore with a weird sail on its back. Those neural spines, by the way, extended up to 1.65 meters tall, forming a dramatic structure whose purpose is still debated. Thermoregulation, fat storage, mating display, nobody's sure, but the real shock came after 2015, when new fossil reconstructions completely rewrote the book on this animal. Paddle-like tail built for swimming, dense bones for controlling buoyancy, nostrils positioned on top of the skull so it could breathe while partially submerged, conical teeth with zero serration, designed to grip slippery prey rather than slice through muscle. Spinosaurus wasn't competing with anything on land. It was a river predator, the only known truly semi-aquatic dinosaur, operating more like a 16-meter crocodile than a traditional theropod. Science literally changed everything we thought we knew about this animal within living memory. But if Spinosaurus avoided the competition on land, the next dinosaur ran straight into it: Giganotosaurus. Let's talk about the dinosaur the internet refuses to shut up about. Giganotosaurus lived 96 to 93 million years ago in what is now Argentina, and it wasn't even officially described until 1995, making it one of the most recently named megatheropods despite being one of the absolute biggest. We're talking 12.5 to 13.7 meters long and somewhere between 8,600 and 13,700 kilograms depending on the specimen. That puts it in direct size competition with Tyrannosaurus rex, and yes, the internet has noticed, but here's where the real story gets buried under all the who would win threads. Giganotosaurus wasn't built like a rex. Its 20-centimeter teeth were blade-like slicers designed to carve through muscle, not crush bone. Completely different weapon for a completely different job, and that job was terrifying. Trackway evidence suggests Giganotosaurus hunted in packs. Why would a 13-meter predator need backup? Because its likely prey included Argentinosaurus, a sauropod so massive it makes everything Tyrannosaurus rex ever encountered look like a warm-up. We're talking about coordinated pack takedowns of the largest land animals that ever existed. So, could a Giganotosaurus beat a Tyrannosaurus rex? Honestly, they never met, lived on different continents, and were built for entirely different prey. No, but a pack of these things bringing down an Argentinosaurus is way more impressive than any hypothetical cage match. And speaking of blade-toothed giants from the same evolutionary family, there's one from North Africa that might have been even more dangerous: Carcharodontosaurus. Here's the thing. Carcharodontosaurus was roaming North Africa 112 million years ago. That's a full 20 million years before Tyrannosaurus rex even existed. And yet somehow this dinosaur barely gets mentioned when people argue about the biggest predators to ever walk the earth. That needs to change. At 12 to 13.6 meters long and up to 9,200 kilograms, Carcharodontosaurus was built on the same terrifying scale as every predator on this list. Its skull alone stretched 1.55 to 1.6 meters, and those teeth 20.3 centimeters of serrated blade. Eyes were actually marginally larger than Tyrannosaurus serrations. The name literally means shark-toothed lizard, and that comparison holds up perfectly. Those teeth use the same ripping and tearing mechanics as a great white shark. But here's where it gets genuinely fascinating. Carcharodontosaurus belongs to a completely separate evolutionary family from Tyrannosaurus. The Carcharodontosauria lineage developed its megapredator blueprint independently, millions of years apart, on a different continent. That's convergent evolution at its most dramatic. Nature looked at the problem of how do you build a continent-dominating killer and arrived at almost the same answer twice. First scientifically named in 1924, Carcharodontosaurus had a name before Giganotosaurus was even discovered. It got there first, the fossil record backs it up, but popular media still leaves it out of the conversation, and honestly, that's ridiculous. Speaking of predators that don't get the respect they deserve, let's go even further back in time. Allosaurus. Allosaurus didn't need to compete with Tyrannosaurus rex because it was already running the entire planet 75 million years before T-Rex even existed. This was the undisputed king of the late Jurassic from 155 to 145 million years ago, and nothing in its world came close. At 8.5 to 10.2 meters long and weighing up to 2,400 kilograms, Allosaurus wasn't the biggest carnivore we've talked about so far. But here's the thing, it didn't have to be. It was the apex predator of its era. The same ecological throne Tyrannosaurus would eventually inherit tens of millions of years later. Different world, different ruler, same crown. But what really sets Allosaurus apart isn't just its dominance, it's how well we actually know it. Over 80 individual specimens have been pulled from the Morrison Formation, making this one of the most thoroughly studied large predators in all of paleontology. Researchers have tracked its entire life cycle, from juvenile to full-grown adult, mapping how it grew, how it hunted, and how it aged. That kind of data is almost unheard of for a predator this old. Visually, you'd recognize one instantly. Those distinctive brow crests sitting above each eye gave Allosaurus a look no other theropod could match, and it likely didn't hunt alone. Or trackway evidence and fossil sites showing multiple individuals clustered around the same kill zones strongly suggest coordinated pack hunting behavior, but if Allosaurus was the calculated hunter of the Jurassic, the next predator on our list took a completely different approach to killing, Carnotaurus. Every dinosaur we've talked about so far has been some variation of big skull, big teeth, big bite. Carnotaurus threw that entire blueprint in the trash. This thing looked like someone designed a predator in a wind tunnel. Compact body, powerful legs, a weirdly small skull, and two stubby horns sticking out above its eyes like nature couldn't decide between dinosaur and bull. Those horns, by the way, extended 15 to 20 centimeters and were completely unique among theropods. No other large predator had anything like them, but here's the thing. They weren't for hunting. The horns were almost certainly used for dominance displays and head-shoving contests with other Carnotaurus, basically dinosaur bar fights over territory and mates, but the real story is the speed. Biomechanical estimates put Carnotaurus at around 33 kilometers per hour, making it one of the fastest large theropods ever recorded. Its entire skeleton was stripped down and rebuilt around burst acceleration and agility rather than raw crushing power. Where Tyrannosaurus was a tank, Carnotaurus was a sports car, and we're not guessing about any of this. The holotype specimen recovered in 1985 from Argentina is nearly complete and exceptionally preserved. This isn't a dinosaur reconstructed from 3 teeth and a wishful thinking. Carnotaurus is one of the most clearly understood medium-large predators in the entire Mesozoic record, and honestly, it might be the coolest looking one too. But if you love a predator that broke the mold, wait until you see the one that decided hunting fish was a better career path than chasing anything on land, Baryonyx. So here's something that'll throw you off. One of the most important carnivorous dinosaur discoveries in history didn't come from Montana or Argentina or the Sahara. It came from Surrey, England, a clay pit in Surrey, England. In 1983, an amateur fossil hunter named William Walker stumbled across a massive claw poking out of the mud, and that single find rewrote the rules of what we thought theropods could be. Baryonyx stretched 9 to 10.5 meters long and weighed up to 2,200 kilograms, so this wasn't some small oddity. So, but the body wasn't what made it special. That first finger claw measured 31 centimeters, absolutely massive, and it was paired with something nobody expected on a large theropod, a long, narrow crocodilian snout filled with conical teeth that had zero serration, no slicing edges, no bone-crushing ridges. These teeth were built to grip, not tear. But here's where it gets really interesting. When researchers examined the holotype specimen's stomach region, they found fish scales and bones still preserved inside. Actual food, sitting in the gut of a 125-million-year-old predator. That kind of direct dietary evidence is extraordinarily rare in the fossil record, and it removed all guesswork. Baryonyx was eating fish. Before this discovery, the default assumption was simple. Big theropod means terrestrial meat eater. Baryonyx shattered that. It was the first dinosaur definitively identified as a fish specialist, proving that theropod feeding strategies were far more diverse than anyone had imagined. And Baryonyx wasn't alone in this lifestyle. Its close relative took the same blueprint and scaled it up even further. Suchomimus. If Baryonyx was the prototype for aquatic theropod hunting, Suchomimus was the finished product. Living 124 to 119 million years ago in what is now Niger, this 11-meter, 3,200 kilogram predator took everything that made Baryonyx special and scaled it up. The long, narrow snout, the conical, non-serrated teeth, the massive first finger claw reaching up to 27 centimeters, all of it refined, all of it bigger. But here's where it gets interesting. Its name means crocodile mimic, and that's not just a cute label. Suchomimus independently evolved the exact same hunting toolkit that crocodilians use today: the elongated rostrum packed with gripping teeth, the dense limb bones built for extended time in water, the ambush-style body plan. This is convergent evolution happening across tens of millions of years between completely unrelated animals, and it wasn't operating in an empty niche. The rivers of Cretaceous Niger were already packed with actual crocodilians, plesiosaurs, and massive fish. Suchomimus muscled its way into a job that multiple other predators were already doing, and it thrived. That takes serious evolutionary pressure to pull off. Here's the thing. Suchomimus and Baryonyx developed nearly identical hunting tools on completely different continents from different branches of the Spinosaurid family tree. That pattern, like the same solution evolving independently in separate lineages, shows up constantly in carnivore evolution. Nature doesn't innovate when copying works, but Spinosaurids weren't the only theropod family producing apex predators across multiple continents. The Tyrannosaurs were doing the exact same thing, and their Canadian branch might surprise you. Albertosaurus. Before Tyrannosaurus rex ever existed, something else wore the crown. Albertosaurus ruled Western North America for roughly 10 million years, from 83 to 73 million years ago, and it did so from the exact same territory that Tyrannosaurus would later claim as its own. Alberta, Canada, same land, same throne, different king. But here's the thing. Albertosaurus wasn't just a smaller version of T-Rex. It was a fundamentally different kind of predator. At 8.2 to 9.7 meters long and weighing up to 2,500 kilograms, it was roughly 70% the mass of its successor. That lighter, more gracile frame gave it something Tyrannosaurus never had: speed. Biomechanical estimates put its top pursuit speed at around 45 kilometers per hour. This wasn't a bone-crushing ambush predator. This was a pursuit hunter, and it didn't hunt alone. Over 30 individual specimens have been recovered, many from the same bone beds, showing juveniles, subadults, and full-grown adults all together. That's not coincidence. That's coordinated pack hunting across multiple age groups, something we almost never see evidence for in large tyrannosaurids. While Tyrannosaurus likely hunted solo, Albertosaurus was running prey down in organized family units. That's what makes this animal so important. It's the evolutionary bridge. Check, descended from earlier mid-Cretaceous Tyrannosaurid lineages, Albertosaurus represents the architectural template from which Tyrannosaurus rex was eventually built. Nature took this fast, coordinated pack hunter and traded speed for raw, crushing power. The blueprint got bigger, slower, and meaner. Albertosaurus deserves more credit than it gets. It held the apex predator title for millions of years before a heavier model made it obsolete. But if coordinated pack tactics impress you, wait until you meet the animal that literally changed how we think about dinosaur intelligence. Deinonychus. In 1969, a paleontologist named John Ostrom published a description of a dinosaur that broke science. Not because it was the biggest or the oldest or the most dangerous, because it proved that everything we thought we knew about dinosaurs was wrong. Deinonychus lived 115 to 108 million years ago in what's now Montana, and at 3.4 to 3.8 meters long and 73 to 161 kilograms, it wasn't massive. But its its body was a precision weapon. Each foot carried an enlarged second toe claw measuring 13.3 centimeters, and biomechanical modeling shows that claw deployed with 900 newtons of impact force, enough to punch through thick hide and deep into muscle. This wasn't a slashing tool, it was a grappling hook designed to latch onto prey and never let go. But here's where it gets interesting. Its brain to body ratio approached that of modern birds, meaning this animal could think, coordinate, and adapt in real time. And the fossil record backs that up. Multiple Deinonychus skeletons have been found alongside single Tenontosaurus carcasses, a prey animal many times their size. That's not coincidence. That's coordinated pack hunting against targets they had zero business taking down alone. Before Deinonychus, the scientific consensus was that dinosaurs were slow, cold-blooded, overgrown lizards dragging their tails through swamps. Deinonychus destroyed that image overnight and launched what paleontologists call the dinosaur renaissance. Warm-blooded, fast, intelligent, and working together. That was the new model. And it changed the field permanently. Now here's the part that'll mess with your head. The Velociraptor from Jurassic Park? That's not Velociraptor. It's Deinonychus, scaled up and given a catchier name. Ours, the most iconic movie dinosaur of all time, is actually this animal wearing a costume. But the real Velociraptor, that's a completely different story. It's Velociraptor. Let's get this out of the way. The Velociraptor you're picturing in your head right now, that's not Velociraptor. That's Deinonychus wearing a name tag it stole. The real Velociraptor, the one that lived 86 to 82 million years ago in Mongolia, was roughly the size of a large turkey. We're talking 2 meters long, 15 to 33 kilograms soaking wet. You could punt this thing. But here's where it gets interesting, because the real animal didn't need to be 6 feet tall to be terrifying. Velociraptor had one of the largest brain-to-body ratios of any dinosaur, forward-facing eyes that gave it genuine binocular vision, ulna, and a 6.5 centimeter sickle claw on each foot that functioned exactly like a scaled-down version of the Deinonychus weapon we just talked about. It was feathered, fast, and almost certainly hunted in coordinated groups. Think of it less like a movie monster and more like a pack of extremely angry, extremely smart hawks with knives on their feet. The Jurassic Park version was unfeathered, 3 to 4 times the actual size, and based almost entirely on Deinonychus. Steven Spielberg just liked the name Velociraptor better, and that single creative decision created one of the most persistent misconceptions in all of paleontology. 30 years later, people still think this animal was human-sized. The real Velociraptor was a precision predator built for outsmarting small to medium prey, not chasing jeeps. Genuinely impressive. Just not in any way Hollywood told you, but if you want a raptor that actually matches the Jurassic Park size, that one exists too. And here's the thing about Jurassic Park's velociraptors, they were too big, way too big. The real velociraptor was the size of a turkey, but the movie showed 6-foot-tall killing machines that could open doors and hunt in packs. Or everyone assumed Hollywood just made them up. They didn't. They accidentally predicted the future. In 1993, the same year Jurassic Park hit theaters, paleontologists formally described a raptor from Utah that matched the movie's size almost perfectly. Utahraptor reached 5.5 to 6.7 meters long and weighed between 500 and 800 kilograms, making it the largest dromaeosaur ever discovered. The film's design team had no idea it existed when they wrote the script. Alright, the timing is genuinely one of the strangest coincidences in paleontology history. But Utahraptor wasn't just a bigger velociraptor, it was a fundamentally different predator. That signature sickle claw on its second toe measured 24 centimeters long and 12 centimeters wide, the largest of any known raptor. For perspective, that's nearly twice the length of Deinonychus's claw, attached to a body roughly 5 times heavier. This wasn't a precision instrument for pinning small prey, this was a weapon designed to open large animals. And here's where it gets genuinely interesting from a biology standpoint. Preserved integumentary structures confirm that Utahraptor had full feather coverage at 500 to 800 kilograms. That completely dismantles the old assumption that feathers were strictly a small animal adaptation. Utahraptor proves that massive pack hunters could maintain full plumage and still function as apex predators, blurring the line between dinosaur and bird at a scale nobody expected. But if Utahraptor got accidentally validated by Hollywood, the next dinosaur got completely butchered by it. Dilophosaurus, 200 million years ago, before Allosaurus, before Tyrannosaurus, before anything on this list even existed, one predator was already hunting. Dilophosaurus is the oldest carnivorous dinosaur we've covered by a margin of roughly 40 million years, and it represents something genuinely special. This is the ancestral body plan, the blueprint that every apex theropod you've seen in this video, Allosaurus, Carnotaurus, Tyrannosaurus, Rex, all of them evolved from over the next 130 million years. But here's the thing. You probably don't picture any of that when you hear the name. You picture a cute dog-sized lizard with a colorful frill that fans out before it spits venom in someone's face. And that image is completely, entirely 100% made up. The real Dilophosaurus had no expandable frill, zero anatomical structures associated with venom production or delivery, nothing. Not a single fossil, not a single bone, not a single trace. Jurassic Park took a 7 to 8 meter, 900 kilogram apex predator and turned it into a small spitting gimmick. It's the most scientifically inaccurate depiction on this entire list, and that's saying something considering Velociraptor's whole situation. What the real animal actually had were two dramatic crests running along the midline of its skull, extending 20 to 25 centimeters, likely used for a visual display and signaling to other members of its species. Named in 1954 from fossils originally misclassified as Megalosaurus, Dilophosaurus was the first identified large dual-crested theropod, and it rewrote how paleontologists understood early predator evolution. But here's where even the scientists got it wrong at first. Early interpretations pegged Dilophosaurus as an obligate fish eater based on its relatively small conical teeth and weaker bite. More recent biomechanical analysis tells a different story, one of an opportunistic generalist that hunted vertebrate prey alongside whatever else it could catch. The scientific understanding of this animal has been revised dramatically since the film locked in its fictional version and walked away. Every predator on this list traces back to something like Dilophosaurus. Andrew, it's the oldest, the most misunderstood, and the one that started it all. If you enjoyed this video and want to see every predator in dinosaur history, click the video on the screen now.